This will be a meeting of the Safety and Security meeting for May 13th, 2024. The time now is about 3:58. The meeting will be starting in 2 minutes. Again, this is a meeting of the Safety and Security Committee meeting for Brazosport Independent School District, starting at 4 o'clock. All right, all. Thanks for being on. We got about 1 minute to go time. And then we've got a long list of individuals that are in it. So if we pull this up, like here. So what I asked them to do is to go into the actual chart, which is the membership list, and then it's by date. So like here we'll go to the meeting for today, which is May 13th. And then right now there's no, so I'm asking to check in, so they'll put a check next to the name, and this is basically our attendance roster to make sure that everybody, check in and out. And then, what Jay also tries to do for me when he's doing that, he's on the backside, going in here to right here, see where it says we got 12 people. He'll go in there and look to see, okay, who's on board, and then to make sure that they're checking off on name. And if they miss their name, he'll check them in for me. Okay. That way I'm not trying to do two different things at the same time, and I can kind of stay on task. So if we were doing it in a regular in-face meeting, then have a secretary there who'll be taking notes for you. But for here, we're doing visual, so it's a little different.
I think
right.
Your camera's pointed. It's got to be pointed at top.
No, I want to point it at you. I want them to see you. I don't want them to see me.
I'm actually going to move to this side.
So we got about, it's almost time. We're going to give about 30 seconds to see if anybody else jumps online, and then to be a good steward of your time, we will go ahead and get started. Make sure I turn this phone off. Perfect. So I got both phones off, so I don't have to worry about that. Alright, so then we got everything. So then when you get ready to here, go to where it says present now, which will then pull up my screen, and then it says you can go to a Chrome tab, window, or screen. So I usually do a tab, and then I go to the May 13th Safety and Security meeting. So you click on that, and then you can do share, and then it'll take over the screen, and then it'll present what I'm presenting to everybody at the same time. All right, everyone, so we will go sit. By my watch, it's about 4:02. We gave folks ample time to get on. We'll go ahead and start the meeting. I'll call it to order. This is the regular meeting of the Safety and Security Committee for the Brazosport Independent School District, May 13th, 2024, beginning at about 4:02 p.m. This meeting is being held virtually with Google Hangouts. To meet the open meeting acts and requirements, this meeting will be live streamed, and then the audio stream of the meeting will be placed on the Brazosport Independent School District's website under all things safety, and then under safety and security, and then you'll see the meeting minutes there. I would ask that if you are joining us, if you can go into your calendar invite, go into your safety committee meeting roster, and if you can just click on it and just put an X next to your name in the spreadsheet on the date tab marked May 13th, 2024. So we can mark your attendance at this meeting. Are there any questions for the good of the order before we begin? Hearing none, okay, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go into the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one indivisible. With that, we will start with our first item up on our agenda. We'll talk about the Safety Committee agenda items. The first one is I'm happy to report the Texas School Safety Center audit that began the next 3-year cycle, which runs from 2023 through 2026. We have completed all the audits that were outlined with our auditors this year, which are SFA, AP Boyle, Griffith, Polk, Roberts, Clute Intermediate, Brazosport High School, Lighthouse Learning Center, Brazos Success Academy, the Administration Building, and Trout Nutrition. All these completed, and there were only minor corrective actions that needed to be completed, and the campus leadership, in either coordination with maintenance and operation or with the Director of Technology, have all the minor things that need to be fixed. There were nothing major. So again, we got a glowing review from the auditors that we are good to go. I think, just a second, I got some folks trying to get in to the meeting. If I can let them in before we move on. All right. I'm muting everybody so they can get in. Mr. White, do you see those on the backside that may be trying to get in that I'm missing?
I'm not seeing them, Ty.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I just got a thing that says, I think it's 2 people waiting to join, but I don't see them in the backside. So we're just going to keep moving. I think it's, let me see if that one. No, I don't see them there. So I'll just keep moving. If somebody raises their hand, Mr. Whitehead, if you can kind of keep me on track to let me know I'm missing the question, if possible. All right, so we move into our second item, which is the Brazosport ISD TEA audit findings across the district from 2023 through 2024. Meaning, so far, our district, 88.9% of our campuses have already been inspected by the intruder audit from the Texas Education Agency, which is different than Texas School Safety Center, where they basically try to get into our campuses, and if they can't, then if they can't get in through an unlocked exterior door, then they'll go around to the front, get with campus administration, and then they will test the functionality of every single door on our campuses. And of those, 88.9% have been done so far. And the 2 findings were earlier in the year from Brazoswood and Brazosport. But here's a listing of the dates when they have been out. And of course, we only had 2 findings, which were again Brazosport and Brazoswood earlier. And Brazosport, of course, got hit twice. And the first time they came through back in 2022. I want to say, 2022. Yeah, they came through and we had a finding. 2023 we had a finding, and then Brazosport had a finding in 2023. But other than that, all our campuses have passed the TA auditors when they come through. So moving on to our next item, the Safety Committee meeting agenda items. The Avoid, Deny, Defend, or it's also called Run, Hide, Fight, which basically is the standard response protocols. With our staff, all staff campuses have been trained. The only ones that may have been missing are folks that were missed on the day when the training came through, but the campus administration was responsible for finishing their training. On Stop the Bleed training, all staff have been trained to include substitutes on Stop the Bleed protocols, and then all of our students have been trained in grades 7 through 12, which is a huge accomplishment. Most school districts are still trying to get through that, and we've completed that. So moving forward after this year, the only thing our district has to do is train the 6th graders that move up into 7th grade at FIS, Clute Intermediate, and LJI. Everybody else should be trained, and we should be on board and good to go. Any other questions on that one? Seeing none, we'll move to the next one. Texas School Safety Center drill schedule 2023-2024. We're required to do 1 secure drill, 2 lockdown drills, 1 evacuation drill, 1 shelter drill in place hazmat, 1 shelter in place weather, like today, and then 4 fire evacuation drills, 2 per semester at each campus. I'm happy to report that all these drills have been completed, and all that has been noted. If TA comes up and wants to see our audit books, we'll be able to verify and show them that we are in compliance with the state statutes. And for those that are wondering why Detective Cantu is standing next to me, she is going to be helping us administer part of the $16 million grant that we got. So she's learning some of the emergency management protocols and things that we have to do. So she's basically going to try to train 2 to 3 deep behind me just in case I decide to retire or my wife tells me I can't work anymore. So next one up is a update on the projects that we've been funded and or implemented. So our quick alert, and I think we talked about this the last time, we deployed 50 tablets that have a dual function. One is a marquee, but they're stationed at all of our entry points, and they have artificial intelligence gun detection built into them. Our initial plan was with our layered security. Before House Bill 3, we didn't have an officer on every campus, so this was another way that we can have another layer of security at the elementaries. I'm happy to report that all those tablets have been, the cables have been run, the tablets have been installed, the software has been integrated, the staff has been trained, and they are now implementing those as part of their layered security perspective at every one of our elementary campuses. At a minimum, some campuses have 5. At a high, some campuses have 7 of these things strategically placed at the entry points to their campuses, so if something happens, we get a quick notice. The next one I'm happy to report is I know after the Brazos Wood false activation on a student with a weapon, Mr. Whitehead and Mr. Massey explained to Zero Eyes that that was not enough. They needed to do more to give us 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after, or 5 frames before, or 5 frames after the initial picture. Zero Eyes has completed the upgrade, and implementation of that, and now we have the availability to get that per Mr. Massey's request. So that is functioning and it's up and working, so we're good to go. The next item is Centegix. Of course, Centegix has been a wonderful addition for our silent panic alert technology across all of our campuses. One of the things we were able to do with the SPAT money that we had left over, we were able to upgrade to what's called a safety blueprint. So even though we had maps now, we can take those maps and put all our assets into the maps themselves, and it's easier for us to be able to do that without having to hire an engineer firm or hiring somebody that has some technical skills with technology to do that. It's basically drag and drop, click, you make your, you name what the asset is, and then it puts it right on the map. So in the event we have an event, our first responders will have access to this information immediately. And the other benefit is if we go through expansion or despansion, we can move walls, move things on the maps, which is easily done versus having to send all this out. So that has been implemented, and Mr. Joe Bogle and Ken Schulte's shop is doing a wonderful job going through and marking our assets, such as where the fire extinguishers are, where our roof access, where our AEDs, where our stop the bleed kits, where our first aid kits, where our AC and HVAC shut off, where our emergency exits and routes. So all those things are being slowly implemented into this process, and it's user friendly. And then with the extra money that we have left over, we're going to be, even though we have the best system with Centegix currently, we're going to move to the LoRaWAN system, which is an even better, lower Bluetooth, state-of-the-art technology has come out from Centegix since we deployed this current system. So we're just going to continue to integrate and move up to the next level to keep sure that our silent panic alert technology is the best that it can be. Any questions on those 3 updates on those 3 major projects? Hearing none, seeing none. And this is basically what the safety blueprint looks like. If you were to look at it on a map, and this just is a quick version of it, you can see where your camera locations are, fire extinguishers, fire sensors, and those kind of things. It just gives us a lot of options, and this is toggled, so you can turn off stuff, or you can populate this map where it's very confusing. So you can use it to your advantage for what you're needing or what you're looking for in that perspective. So the one of the things after the Brazos Port gun event, Mr. Massey wanted to look at another way to increase the efficiencies of getting students in and out of the building. So we looked at the open gate metal detector system, which is kind of similar to the systems they use at the major sporting events or venues, where you can move, lots and lots and lots of people through the system very quickly. We had the company demo it. We had them bring 2 sets to Brazos Port. We put them in 2 different locations, and we were able to run 900 students through that over a 2-day period. The first day was a little wonky because we had to change the culture of how the kids had been normally coming through. They, basically, stopping the backpacks. Everything comes out of the backpack search, and then the student goes through. With this one, all they have to do is take out their Chromebook, pass it around the thing, and just keep walking with all their stuff. Basically, it worked very well. The first day was a little wonky. It took us a little bit of time, but Mr. Virgil was able to report that he was able to cut his staff to 1/3 of what it normally took him to be able to facilitate that, and we were able to get the students in on the second day before the bell rang. The first day we were a little beyond the bell. The second day we were before the bell rang, and they get everybody into the school. So with that, we're going to use grant funding with Mr. Massey and the board's approval to get 3 of these systems and bring them here for deployment. Any questions on that one? None. Alright, so I've got some bad news. So the COPS SVPP, which is Stop the Violence Prevention Program, is up. And this year we decided not to apply for it. We've gotten, a number of grants, 2 years from them. We've got the SPAT grant, we've got Cycle 1 grant, we've got Cycle 2 grant that we're now getting ready to spend. And we got a lot of grant money, so the decision was made to not go after another grant this year and just focus on the ones we got now. And that's part of why Cantu is standing here to help, with some of the workload that's going to increase as a result of this almost $17 million that we've got to spend on safety and security that we'll be exercising in the next school year. So the SPAT technology grant, based on the needs assessment and documentation done for the COPS, we were awarded basically $500,000 for the SPAT that we just finished up with. The safety blueprint was the last piece that we spent. Now we've got, with Cycle 1 grant, we've got $15,587,746 to implement bidirectional amplifiers to pull radio signals in and out of buildings, 2 major carrier, AT&T and Verizon, to push cell signals in and out of the building, do some more bullet-resistant mapping or filming on our windows around our facilities, upgrade our radio communications at the campuses to a district-wide system. So that's much of what this money is going to be spent on. And then in the Cycle 2 grant, which was just released, we're getting $355,709. And with that, that can go towards anything that's above and beyond the minimum requirements, which we're spending the almost $17 million on. So Mr. Massey, the cabinet, and the trustees will make the decision where that $355,709 will be spent on. But that's geared specifically towards safety and security issues yet to be identified. Questions on that one? Hearing none. Alright, Texas School Safety Center and TEA, new requirements for the year coming up is, remember every year I was telling you that every year we have to do a basic annex or basic emergency operations plan review. That is due September the 23rd of 2024. In that, they're now requiring a new annex to the basic emergency operations plan, which is a cyber and security annex that has to be completed by that same date. That's a huge lift to get that done because it's everything cyber and security, which is well outside of my wheelhouse. But David Mendoza and his team, I think, are on the line, and they have done a phenomenal job in a short amount of time to get that annex just about ready where we could almost pretty much submit today, but they're going back through and we're going to fine-tune it over the summer to make sure that we have all our I's and T's crossed when it comes to Texas School Safety Center and what they're looking for. But they've had a lot of things already in place, and things that they didn't have in place, they've been able to get them worked out in a relatively short order. David, did I miss anything on that? David or Anthony or Miss Autumn?
No, sir, that's correct.
Right. Any questions on that one? Seeing none, all right, we'll move to the next one. Okay, level 3 safety specialism. We talked about 2 rounds. So the first round after House Bill 3 came out, I think Mr. Massey looked at, we didn't have an officer on every campus, and he was trying to make some decisions with the board how to facilitate that. They were looking at the Marshals program, and of course, if you remember, the Marshals program is offered through the state, and they had only 3 training facilities statewide with limited availability to get folks there, and most of the training was during the school year when the officers need to be on campus. So with that, Mr. Massey and the board elected to go to level 3 safety specialists. The first round, we picked the 4 good ones that we unfortunately had to remove or take from the Brazos Wood High School and redeploy those to our elementary school so we can be in compliance. So we have level 3 armed safety specialists at T.W. Ogg, Gladys Polk, Madge Griffith, and O.M. Roberts. And once we had those 4 in place, then became again knowledge that we needed to hire 3 more to finish out the elementary schools. So we have went and hired 3 more level 3. One was internal, Jessica Jackson, who has Brazosport. She moved up from a safety level 2 to level 3, and she will end up at AP Boydell, and she will be deployed there next year, beginning of the school year, because her services are still needed at Brazosport, and they had not found a replacement for her yet. And then, and we were able to do that because this wasn't as much of a critical need as when we needed the initial 4. So we're going to just let her stay there, finish out the year. And then we hired 2 outside individuals. One comes with a extensive background of level 3, worked at Katy ISD. So he started May 7th, and he's deployed at Brannon, which will free that officer to eventually go back to her a campus of the chief's choosing. And then the third guy is a guy named Mr. Fortenberry. He's a 20-plus year U.S. Marshal, prior constable from our area, worked at the Sheriff's Department for a while. So now he is the level 3 that's at Freeport Elementary. So right now we've got 1 more elementary, which will be Lanier, based on Mr. Massey's announcement that Lanier will be going to an elementary school next year. So we'll be looking at a final level 3 to be brought on sometime over the summer to take effect in August for Lanier. Then all our elementary campuses will have a level 3 armed security guard on every campus patrolling to make sure that our students and staff are safe. Any questions on that one? Okay, so next one I wanted to bring up to you, the district was the charter member of the Brazoria County Crime Stoppers program. We started that back in, I think it was 2011. And this year so far, to date, we've had 65 cases that have come in. We've paid out 43 individuals. 35 of those were either charged administratively, disciplined, 0 misdemeanors. We had 11 felonies, which were all THC vapes. With that, we've paid out, if you look at the bottom figure, so far in rewards to students that have given tips, we've paid out over $3,000 to them since the beginning of the school year. We've recovered 9 weapons. 1 of those would have been the gun at Brazosport, and then the rest of those are knives. School visiting, this is a little deceiving because we don't have 22 campuses, but they count the campuses every time you have a visit or a call on a campus. That counts as 1 for their overall numbers. And then they look at, okay, how many students are in those facilities, and then every time there's an event, that has a rippling effect that students know that, hey, those students are being, the ones that get caught know it, so that trains the other ones that they shouldn't be doing those kind of things. So that's why that number looks high, but that's, where they come from. And, BISD, in conjunction with our other ISD Crime Stoppers programs, our Brazoria County took the best in the state from all the Crime Stoppers program this past year. So just based on the numbers and the things that we're doing to promote good stewardship and safety. TA vulnerability audit, and I need to talk about that one a little bit. So, of course, after the aftermath of Uvalde, let me go back. The wrong direction. There we go. After the aftermath of Uvalde, the governor changed the whole process of how they do audit. So initially, Texas School Safety Center was the go-to arm for all things safety and security for the governor, and it was based on them being an educational institution. They were able to gather the best practices and push that information out to the districts, and then the districts were required to send their EOPs and the things back to the Texas School Safety Center for them to review it to make sure they were in compliance and meeting the standard. That process or system that was set up had no accountability measures to it. Texas School Safety Centers basically took districts at their word that if they submitted an EOP, that it was not only written on paper, but it was part of their functionality that they did day in and day out. The after-action review at Uvalde showed that a lot of districts either falsified or weren't accurate in the information that they were putting forth, or more importantly, the EOPs weren't practiced as a daily cultural issue. So they stood up a separate unit called the School Safety Center, which is manned by Chief Scott, who's the Chief of School Safety, who reports directly to the governor. That is the arm that is used to ensure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. And their goal is they will be actually coming out, reviewing each district's EOP, and then they will be walking the campuses to ensure those EOPs match the culture of the organization. Everybody understands what the EOP says, everybody understands what their roles in the EOPs are, and that it's actually a living document that is changed and done every day. So when they made that decision, they're developing a rubric or how they're going to grade folks when they come through. And seeing how this is the first time they've ever done that, they voluntarily asked for districts to be basically a test subject for them, where they can come out and test the rubric, walk the campuses, and refine their process or how they're going to inspect and audit every school district in the state of Texas. Of course, BISD leading the way, we volunteered with Mr. Massey's approval for them to come in. They came in, they show on the 5th of March and the 15th of March, they picked 12 of our campuses, and these auditors walked the campus, facilitated by us and the administration, but they asked teachers, they asked cafeteria workers, they asked custodians, they asked principals and administrators, and then they walked through every area that we had at these campuses to see if there were any issues. And after the first day when they left, they went back to TEA and they called their contact, the director of Region 4, and said, "Man, all I just want you to know is that Brazosport Independent School District has their stuff together. That is the model place to follow." And they came back on the 15th, and that same perspective they had, and it was intensified when they went through the rest of the campus and said, this is a district that models and does exactly what their EOP says, and the staff knows it. Yes, we had some minor issues, mechanical, doors and closers and some things that we need to work on, but there were no major things that were found, and they were thoroughly impressed, with everything that we had in place. So it was a good team effort that began back, with Mr. Whitehead and Ms. Dr. Pelton and Chief Wade Nichols, and it just, moved forward with the rest of the team and the campuses just getting involved, rolling up their sleeves and making sure their staff and their students truly understand, what to do. So any questions on that one? All right, no. Oh. And that's it. Excuse me, my mouse is very sensitive day. So the District Transportation Department had a full day of training with our local law enforcement and combined SWAT team. And the purpose of the training was to prepare the bus drivers for in the event that they had an active shooter, hostage situation, or an irate parent get on their bus. what would they need to do and what it would look like if the special weapons and tactical team from any local police department had to engage them on the bus, what they should do and what they shouldn't do, from that perspective, so they won't be totally freaking out when that happens. All right, so this is another thing that came up with after discussing with Mr. Massey. I've attended several meetings, and I think we're going again to one tomorrow, where the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Threat Assessment Task Force is looking to join partnerships with local school districts to ensure the speed of getting information when a threat is made. So currently, Chief Wade has good contacts with the regional task force here, we call it the Texas Rangers and some of the folks from DPS, that if we get a threat in, that person or that group can then take that threat, figure out what email it came from, then trace it back to what internet service provider that email came from, and then from that get the IP address, from the IP address get the home address, from the home address tag that to our teams to figure out, okay, what student lives at that home address, and then be able to go knock on the door to facilitate that. So the goal of the task force is the FBI SAC that's in charge is saying they're not pulling their support. They just want to streamline and make sure that the districts have access to that information as quickly as possible. So by being a task force member, then we have direct access to be able to get into those databases that they have access to instantaneously on our own without their support, to be able to get that threat assessed and figure out who it is more quickly without delay, because time is not our friend. So I spoke to Mr. Massey about it. He agreed that it was a good idea, so we're going to again, I'm not sure what that looks like yet. We're still in contact with the FBI to begin to get that process set up. But when we do, then we'll have direct access to the databases that they do, and we'll have the agents that become task force members will be sworn in and deputized, so they can access that immediately, versus having to go through the daisy chain. So just trying to streamline. So that's a work in progress. I'll give you more on the next one when we meet. And then Mr. Whitehead with Miss Hester and Miss Pentavalley, I think, started a high school student safety and security committee, kind of like this committee here, where they give us valuable insight from a student's perspective on what things look like as it relates to safety and security. And all I got to say is we got some bright kids. I mean, some really, really, really bright kids. So they gave Mr. Whitehead some things to look at, which, of course, trickled down to myself and Detective Cantu, and we'll be working over that over the summer to see if we can get some of the initiatives and things that they're thinking about in place. So we're moving in that direction. I think it was hats off to Mr. Whitehead, Miss Hester, and Miss Pentavalley for pulling that together. Okay, the police department and safety and security, I think Mr. Massey put out an edit probably a little more than about a month and a half ago, basically saying that we had two organizations that were basically doing similar jobs, and to more streamline it, he moved everything into one. So he's kind of reorganized safety, security, emergency management, and the police department under one basically organizational chart, which goes through me. So I was promoted to the executive director position, so now I have safety, security, emergency management, and the police department to ensure that all our processes and protocols are aligned and moving in the same direction. Any questions on that? All right, so that brings us to the end of the meeting. We got through that in 30 minutes. So I will open it up to the good of the group. If anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions, things we need to look at, we need to reevaluate. And make sure.
I'll jump in for just a
Yes,
second,
sir.
Todd. Thank you for mentioning the Brazos Wood students and the safety advisory committee. That's our pilot group. There's 12 juniors that are in Miss Jess's class. They're piloting that for us, and they've developed a mission, a vision, and goals so they can have an active voice, the student voice for our school safety. They did meet with Texas School Safety Center virtually and they were very impressed with our students and what they're already doing at Brazoswood High School. A lot of the positive reinforcements and things that Ms. Pinabali has in place right now, they were very pleased to hear and learn about. But our goal for that group is to develop the model for what that looks like and expand that to all of our secondary campuses next year. So just wanted you guys to know that that is the beginning of something we hope to see a lot more student voice and engagement with. And man, you're right when you said it, Ty. We got some very sharp students that really gives us a great perspective. So just wanted to say a little extra about that because it's such an exciting group of kids.
All right. Anybody else have anything else to add? All right, going once, going twice. All right, with that, I'll just close out. I've already sent out the meeting notifications for next year, which will be August 26th, January 13th, and then May 12th. And again, there'll be a calendar invite as a placeholder for your calendars. And with that, I have nothing else, and we will want to wish everybody a good summer, and we will see you when school starts back sometime in August.
Great job today.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I'll see you in Davenport Worth in a couple of weeks, Steve.
That'd be great.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye, everybody. Take care. And boom, that's the end of it.
Not bad. You did that really good. You did that like a champ.
Do this.
Jessica said it was horrible. The drive was horrible.